I never thought a random YouTube stream could split my life in two, before and after. But one night everything changed. It was a quiet Thursday night. The boys, Ethan and Noah, my 13-year-old twin sons, had finally crashed after dinner and a few rounds of trash talk over video games. I was beat, mentally done for the day, and just wanted something brainless on in the background. So I flipped on YouTube. There was this live stream from some channel I didn't recognize. They were in Miami, walking around some busy nightlife area, asking random people one simple question: what does happiness mean to you? I didn't think much of it. I let it play while I scrolled through emails on my phone. The usual kind of answers came up: love, peace, freedom, my dog, a six-pack of beer, light, harmless stuff. Then something shifted. One of the hosts pointed off camera and said, "Let's catch up to that couple. They look happy." The screen turned to follow two people walking away from the camera. Their backs were to us. They were close, arm in arm. The girl on the left, she looked exactly like my wife. From the back, it was uncanny. My heart skipped a beat. Same haircut, same sway in her walk, same black dress she packed before flying to Miami. I leaned forward instinctively, staring at the screen. The host jogged a little to catch up and called out, "Hey, you two look great together. Mind if we ask what happiness means to you?" The woman turned slightly toward the camera. And in that moment I knew. It was Rachel, my wife. She turned fully and gave this little laugh, the same one I'd heard 1,000 times. The man beside her, tall with a fitted white shirt and designer stubble, smiled like he belonged there. His arm was still around her waist, and she didn't seem bothered by it. In fact, she leaned into him. I paused the stream. The room went quiet. The air felt heavy. It was like my brain refused to process what I just saw. I rewound the video, watched it again. Same laugh, same look, same woman. No mistake. Rachel was in Miami on a 4-day business trip for her advertising agency. She left Tuesday morning. I drove her to the airport myself. She told me she had wall-to-wall meetings, maybe a team dinner or two. She promised to call every night. And now, on Thursday night, she was strolling through Miami, clinging to a guy I'd never seen before, smiling into a live stream for the whole internet to see. I grabbed my phone and called her. Straight to voicemail. I called again. Same thing. Earlier that evening, around 6, she texted me a quick, "Busy day. We'll call before bed." "Yeah, sure." I sat on the edge of the couch, phone in one hand, remote in the other, the paused image of her and that guy burned into the TV screen. I felt sick. I couldn't decide if I was angry, heartbroken, or just in shock. I needed answers. I needed them now. So I called someone I trusted, Nate Cooper. He worked with Rachel. He was on that same trip. We weren't best friends, but we were close enough. Fishing buddies, poker nights. We'd had beers together more than once. He picked up on the second ring. "Hey, Jack," he said. "Everything all right?" I got straight to the point. "Do you know where Rachel is right now?" He went quiet. Too quiet. "Last I heard, she said she wasn't feeling great. Skipped dinner." "Why?" "Because I just saw her on a live stream, Nate. In Miami. On Ocean Drive. Arm in arm with some guy. Tall. White shirt. They looked like a couple." There was a long pause. "Jack." I didn't want to say anything unless I was sure. "But yeah, people have been talking. She hasn't been around much. Her roommate said she hasn't seen her at all since Wednesday. And someone said she's been spending time with Troy Daniels." I froze. "Troy Daniels? You mean Big T? From college?" "Yeah, that Troy. He's in town for some event. Apparently he bumped into her, and, I don't know, man, but everyone on the team assumes something's going on." I didn't say anything. Couldn't. I just hung up. Troy Big T Daniels. The same guy Rachel used to know in college. The ex-athlete turned YouTube fitness star. The guy every girl had a crush on. I hadn't heard his name in over a decade. Apparently he'd made his comeback. In my marriage. I sat there for a long time. No yelling. No smashing things. Just silence. Cold, heavy silence. Upstairs, Ethan turned in his bed. Noah coughed in his sleep. They had no idea what had just happened to our family. Neither did I. I did not sleep that night. I just sat there, in the dark, in our quiet kitchen, trying to process what I had seen. The image of Rachel, my wife, arm in arm with another man, was burned into my mind like a scar I couldn't rub out. Every time I closed my eyes, that damn video played on repeat. The way she smiled up at him. The way his hand rested comfortably on her back. The way she leaned into him like she belonged there. Not with me, not with our sons, but with him. By 3 in the morning, I gave up trying to rest. I got up, made some coffee I never drank, and opened my laptop. I needed answers. I needed facts. I needed to know if I was going crazy, or if what I saw was exactly what it looked like. I pulled up the livestream recording. The full replay was already posted on the channel. I skipped to the part where they spotted the couple walking down the street, her and Troy. I watched it again, and then again. Each time it confirmed what I already knew. It was Rachel, no doubt in my mind. And she wasn't just casually walking beside a coworker. This wasn't small talk. It was intimacy. Her body language screamed it. His did too. Then I opened our shared cell phone account. We'd had the same family plan for over a decade. I checked her call history. Only 2 numbers stood out. One was mine. The other I didn't recognize at first, but the area code matched Miami. I copied it and searched through my old contacts. Troy Daniels. The man from the video. The man from college. The one she used to mention in passing. Ex-athlete, now turned YouTube fitness personality. 2 short calls from her to him. Both placed shortly after she landed in Miami. There were no text messages, no emails to him in her Gmail. I checked everything. She was careful. Too careful. Around 7, I heard movement upstairs. The boys were up. Ethan came down first, rubbing his eyes and heading straight for the fridge. Noah followed, already asking about breakfast like nothing in the world had changed. They didn't know. And for their sake, I tried to act like nothing had happened. I made pancakes. I asked about school. I smiled when they talked, even though I felt like I was dying inside. But I knew the truth would catch up to them. That live stream was public. People talk. Kids talk even more. It was only a matter of time before someone from school saw the video and said something stupid. While they packed their bags, I pulled Ethan aside and said, "Hey, listen, if anyone at school says anything weird about your mom, just tell me, okay? Don't react. Just come to me." He looked confused. "Why? What kind of stuff?" "It's nothing, probably," I said. "Just some video from the internet. I just want you to know I've got your back." He nodded slowly. "All right, Dad." I watched them walk out the door with their backpacks slung over their shoulders, just kids starting a normal day, while everything in our family had already started falling apart. Once they were gone, I sat on the edge of the couch, trying to decide what the hell I was supposed to do next. I couldn't just pretend like nothing happened. I couldn't let Rachel walk back into this house and act like she hadn't just thrown away our marriage on a hotel weekend with a guy from her past. So I changed the front door code. We had a smart lock, easy to manage online. I deleted her access and reset it to something only I knew. She was not coming back inside, not like that. Then I grabbed 2 bags from the attic and started packing her stuff. Just the basics: clothes, shoes, toiletries, her laptop. I didn't throw it or destroy anything. I wasn't there yet. I just packed it neatly and put everything in the converted garage space. That room used to be for guests. Now it was hers until she figured out where to go. At noon, she called. I stared at the screen, watching her name pop up. I didn't answer. Voicemail kicked in, and her voice cracked through the speaker. "Jack, please pick up. Please. I messed up. I know I did. I need to talk to you. I love you, Jack. I don't know what I was thinking. Please. Just let me come home." She was crying, but I couldn't hear it. Not really. All I could think about was that moment on the video when she looked up at him, the way she used to look at me. I sent her one message. "Your things are in the garage. Do not come inside the house." That was it. She didn't reply. About an hour later, her mom called. I ignored it. Then her dad. Then my own mother. One after another. I didn't want to talk. Not yet. There was nothing to say. Nothing anyone could fix. By 5 o'clock, I got a message from a friend of mine, Mark. He's a fellow soccer dad. Our kids play on the same team. He said, "Hey man, someone sent me a clip from this YouTube thing. Looks like Rachel. If you haven't seen it, we should talk." I texted back, "I've seen it. I know." After a few minutes, he replied with one line, "I'm sorry, Jack." That night, I sat alone in the living room. The boys were upstairs arguing about some video game. Their laughter echoed down the stairs while I stared at the TV screen, blank and silent. This was just the beginning, and I had no idea how much worse it was going to get. Before everything fell apart, before betrayal and live streams and broken trust, there was just Rachel and me. Two college kids trying to figure life out and somehow finding each other in the middle of it all. We met during our junior year. It was an advanced math class, the kind barely anyone signed up for unless they absolutely had to. There were 6 of us total. 5 guys and 1 girl. Rachel. She was sitting near the window, casually sketching something in her notebook like the class didn't concern her at all. She didn't look nervous. She didn't try to impress anyone. She just existed in her own world, calm and confident. That pulled me in. I walked past the other seats and sat right next to her. She looked over, smiled a little and said, "You're the only one brave enough to sit beside the girl, huh?" I smiled back. I figured it was the best seat in the house. We introduced ourselves. She was Rachel Moore. I was Jack Malone. We joked that if we ever got married, she wouldn't have to change her last name. She laughed. And that laugh, I still remember how real it sounded. After class, we walked together to the student union. She was tall, 6 feet even, with long hair and eyes that looked too sharp to miss anything. She carried herself like she was always 2 steps ahead of everyone. I asked her out that same afternoon. She said no, smiling as she did. "I have a boyfriend," she told me. But points for effort. That should have been the end of it. But it wasn't. Over the next few weeks, we kept talking. We studied together, mostly at a diner a few blocks off campus. It started off innocent. I'd ask for help with a problem set. She'd explain it. We'd order coffee, talk about life, classes, parents. Nothing heavy, but more than surface level. Her boyfriend's name was Andre. Big guy. Played hockey for the school. The first time I met him, he joined us at the diner. He was polite, friendly even, but I saw the way Rachel looked at him, and I saw the difference in how she looked at me. A few days later, I saw Andre walking across campus with another girl, Chloe, my next-door neighbor in the apartment building. They went inside together. I followed just long enough to confirm it. He wasn't being faithful either. I didn't tell Rachel right away. I figured it wasn't my place. But not long after that, she asked me to be her partner for a campus bridge tournament. I agreed, and we ended up taking 3rd place. After the tournament, she walked with me back to my apartment and asked, "Why didn't you tell me about Andre and Chloe?" I told her the truth. "Because I wasn't sure what you'd want me to do with it." She was quiet for a long moment, then said, "I broke up with him last night. That was the beginning." A week later, she came over again, this time not to study. We started something real that night. We didn't just hook up, we connected. Something clicked. Like we'd both been waiting for the other person to finally show up. After that, we were together constantly. She started sleeping over almost every night. We'd cook together, laugh about stupid stuff, argue sometimes, then make up just as fast. It felt easy in a way relationships usually don't when you're 20. We got married 2 years later, right after graduation. No big ceremony, just close friends and family. We were young, broke, and certain. At that point, love felt enough. I landed a government programming job with a defense contractor. Rachel got hired at a public relations agency. She was a natural, persuasive, articulate, and sharp. Her job involved corporate campaigns, sometimes political messaging, and eventually government lobbying work. A year into marriage, we moved into a house I inherited from my grandfather. It was a little rough, but it had good bones. We fixed it up together. I renovated the basement with help from a friend. She turned the upstairs into a warm, livable space. We made it ours. Then came the twins, Ethan and Noah. We were 22 when they were born. The pregnancy had its complications, but the boys arrived healthy and full of life. From day one, they were different. Ethan was louder, more headstrong. Noah was more sensitive, more thoughtful. But both of them were ours, and we dove into parenthood with everything we had. Rachel stayed home for the first year. I cut my hours to spend more time with them. It was chaos, feedings, diapers, sleep deprivation, but it felt like we were building something real together. Eventually, she went back to work, part-time at first, then full-time once the boys were in preschool. I transitioned to contract work so I could stay flexible. My projects included coding defense software and building systems for private clients. I earned well, worked from home, and handled the school pickups and homework while she focused on her career. As the years passed, Rachel moved up. She traveled more. More conferences, more meetings, more dinners with clients. I supported her. I was proud of her. At least I used to be. Because no matter how far we had come from that math class in college, no matter how many milestones we'd shared, all it took was one video, one arm around another man's waist, to make me question whether she ever really meant any of it at all. If you had asked me 5 years ago how my marriage was going, I would have said, solid. Not perfect. Not magical. But solid. We had a house, a routine, and 2 boys who kept us on our toes. That felt like something real. Life had its rhythm. Every morning, I'd wake up before the boys, make coffee, check emails. Rachel would rush through her routine. Quick shower, makeup, professional clothes, then be out the door by 8 o'clock. She always looked sharp. She was climbing the ladder fast at her firm, and I supported her all the way. I was the parent who worked from home. I built code, ran systems, fixed bugs for government contracts and private companies. It wasn't glamorous, but it paid well. And it meant I could be there for the boys. I did drop-offs and pickups, packed lunches, attended every school conference and soccer game. Rachel helped where she could, but most of the day-to-day fell on me. First, it worked. I liked being that kind of dad, the one who was around, who knew which kid liked what cereal, who signed every permission slip, who made the best after-school grilled cheese. But after a few years, something started to shift. Rachel's job became more intense. The clients were bigger, the expectations higher. She started flying out for conferences. At first, once every few months. Then once a month. Eventually, it was 2 or 3 trips every quarter. She loved it. She'd come home full of stories. New people she met, hotel gossip, funny things that happened on flights. I listened, smiled, and asked questions. I wanted to stay connected, even if her world was starting to feel further from mine. But I noticed things. She'd check out mentally when she got home. Tired. Always tired. We'd lie in bed and she'd scroll on her phone while I watched old shows or played games on my laptop. Our conversations got shorter. Our sex life? Still there, but less frequent. Less urgent. I didn't push. I told myself it was normal. We were raising twins, juggling careers, paying a mortgage. What did I expect? Passion every night? Still, I missed her. Not just physically. I missed being seen. Being touched in a way that meant something. I missed the way she used to look at me like I was the only guy in the room. We never really argued. We just drifted. One day, she came home from a conference and said, "You know, I think I might get a promotion soon. They're asking me to oversee regional strategy." I smiled and said, "That's amazing. You deserve it." And I meant it. But something inside me sank. I knew what it meant. More meetings, more travel, more distance. Meanwhile, the boys were growing fast. Ethan was getting more competitive, always wanting to win at everything. Board games, sports, even debates over dinner. Noah was softer, more sensitive. He'd ask questions late at night that would catch me off guard. Like, "Dad, do you think you and Mom are still in love?" That one hit me hard. I lied, of course. Said yes. Told him marriage just looks different when you grow up. But the truth was I wasn't sure anymore. Not because I stopped loving her, but because I couldn't tell if she still loved me. She never said anything cruel. Never treated me badly. But she was somewhere else. And I didn't know how to reach her. I started throwing myself into work again. Picked up more contracts. Spent late nights coding just to feel productive. I worked out more, ran long distances, started writing small tools and side projects just to keep my brain busy. Rachel, on the other hand, kept shining at work. Her name started showing up on proposals, in industry emails, even on some internal panels. She had grown into someone impressive, and I was proud. But I also felt like she was slipping away, like the life we'd built, the pancakes, the school plays, the lazy Sundays, wasn't enough for her anymore. Still, I didn't believe we were in trouble. I thought this was just the grind, just the phase. You grow up, you get tired, you carry the weight. That's marriage, right? I didn't know that somewhere along the line, she had stopped carrying it with me. She came back 2 days later. I had already told her not to come into the house, but deep down, I knew she would anyway. Rachel never liked being told what to do. She always acted like rules were optional when emotions got involved. It was around 9 p.m. The boys and I had just finished dinner. I was doing dishes when I saw headlights through the kitchen window. Her car. My heart started pounding. I wasn't ready to see her, but I knew it was time. I wiped my hands, took a breath, and walked toward the front door. Before I could say anything, Ethan and Noah were already there, peeking out the side window. "Is that Mom?" Noah asked. I nodded. "Stay inside." She stepped out of the car slowly. She looked rough. Not physically. She still had her usual neat appearance, but you could see it in her eyes. Something inside her was already broken. She didn't come up the steps right away. Just stood on the sidewalk, holding her bag, staring at the door like it was going to bite her. Then she looked up and saw Ethan in the window. Her lips parted like she wanted to speak, but no words came out. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. She looked at me and said, "Jack, please, let me explain." I kept my voice steady. "Your things are in the garage. You're not coming into the house. Can I at least talk to the boys?" "Not tonight," I said. "Not like this." Behind me, I could hear Ethan whispering, "Why can't she come in?" I didn't answer. Couldn't. Rachel stepped closer, but I put my hand up. "Don't make this harder." She froze, looked past me again, and this time locked eyes with Ethan. He stared at her for a long second, then turned and walked away. Noah stayed by the window, unsure, nervous, twisting the bottom of his hoodie. His eyes darted between us. I could see the confusion on his face, and the hurt. Rachel saw it too. She broke down right there on the steps. "I'm sorry," she said through sobs. "I messed up. I didn't mean to hurt anyone. I don't know what I was thinking. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I just said the one thing I knew I could say honestly. You didn't think at all." Then I closed the door. I stood there in the hallway for a long time after that. My fists were clenched, but my chest felt empty. She didn't knock again. She just walked to the garage, slowly, like each step weighed more than the last. The boys had questions. Of course they did. Noah came into the kitchen first. "Dad, why was she crying?" I sat him down and said, "Your mom made a big mistake. She did something that hurt this family. I don't want you to hate her, but right now I need space." He nodded, not really understanding, but trying to. Ethan didn't come talk to me. He just stayed in his room with the door shut. Later that night, I stood in the hallway outside and heard him whispering to Noah. He said, "I saw the video. She was with some guy. That's why Dad's mad." So they knew, and I couldn't protect them from it anymore. The next morning, her parents showed up. I didn't even know she'd called them. Diane and Frank, her mom and dad, were decent people, always treated me with respect. But they looked at me like I was the villain, like I was kicking their daughter out into the cold. We talked in the driveway. Frank tried to keep his voice calm. "Jack, can we sit down and just figure this out?" "There's nothing to figure out," I said. "She cheated. It was public. It hurt the kids. I'm not bringing her back in." Diane looked like she wanted to argue, but Frank stopped her with a hand on her arm. "She's not okay," he said quietly. "This has shaken her, Jack. Whatever happened, she regrets it." "Good," I replied. "Regret is a start." I let them go into the garage to check on her. I didn't follow. Later that night, my mom called. She'd heard from Rachel's mom. Word was spreading through the family fast. She didn't take sides, just said, "I'm here if you need anything, and I'm proud of you for staying calm." I wasn't proud of anything. I just felt numb. That evening, Rachel texted me, "Can I talk to them tomorrow? Please." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I wrote back, "We'll see. Depends how they feel." And that was the end of day one. The fallout had started, and there was no going back. The morning after she came back, I woke up angry. Not just hurt, not just confused. Angry. The kind of slow-burning rage that sits in your chest like a live wire, buzzing with nowhere to go. Rachel was still in the garage. The boys hadn't asked to see her yet, and I didn't bring it up. We all moved through the morning like we were walking across cracked glass. Careful. Quiet. After I dropped the boys off at school, I couldn't sit still. I tried to work, but my hands were shaking too much to type. I paced the house, thinking about the live stream, about the way her hand rested on his chest, the way she smiled up at him like nothing in the world was wrong. And that's when I remembered the gun. About a year ago, while jogging through the park, I found it in a ditch, half-wrapped in an old t-shirt, rusted, but real. I brought it home stupidly, thinking I'd turn it in or report it, but I never did. It ended up shoved in a locked drawer in the back of the basement. Forgotten. Until now. I went downstairs, opened the drawer. It was still there. Heavy. Cold. Loaded. I held it in my hand and stared at the wall. I didn't plan anything, not exactly. But in that moment, I had this fantasy in my head. Driving to Troy's place, knocking on his perfect condo door, and showing him exactly what betrayal feels like. Of course I didn't do it. But the fact that I thought about it, that scared me. I put the gun back, locked the drawer, and walked upstairs like nothing happened. But I knew something in me had shifted. I wasn't just a guy dealing with heartbreak anymore. I was a man full of quiet fury, not just at her, at him, at myself, for not seeing it, for being so blind. That afternoon, I called Frank, Rachel's dad, and asked if he could meet me for a walk. We met near a public park. I didn't want to talk at home. I needed to be away from walls, from tension, from the garage where she still lived like a ghost. He showed up 10 minutes later, looking worn out. His gray hair looked grayer, his steps slower. We didn't talk much at first, just walked the perimeter of the park trail in silence. Finally, I said, "How long do you think she was planning it?" He looked straight ahead. "I don't know. Maybe she wasn't planning it at all." "That's worse," I said. "You don't accidentally cheat with someone 3 nights in a row." He didn't argue, just kept walking. Then, as we rounded a corner, we saw a group of guys playing basketball near the edge of the park. One of them chased a ball that had bounced out of bounds, sprinting into the street to grab it before it rolled away. It was Troy. That same perfect posture, same swagger. Even in shorts and a hoodie, he looked like the guy every woman turned to watch. Frank and I stopped walking. Troy didn't see us. He jogged into the road, going after the ball. A black SUV came flying down the hill. Frank hit the horn. Troy froze for half a second, turned, then got hit full speed. It was fast, brutal. His body rolled over the hood and hit the pavement like a bag of bones. Everything around us stopped. People screamed. The driver got out. Couple ran over. But Frank and I didn't move. We just stood there. I didn't feel anything. Not at first. No panic. No adrenaline. Just a numb silence in my chest. I watched him die and felt nothing. Frank eventually spoke. "We need to call someone." I nodded. But we didn't move. The cops came. Ambulance too. It was all a blur. They asked questions. We answered. We were just 2 guys walking. We saw it happen. That was it. They didn't ask if I knew him. I didn't volunteer it. Later that evening, Rachel knocked on the kitchen door. She looked pale, shaking. "I just got a call," she said. "Troy's dead." I stared at her. Didn't say a word. She wiped her eyes. "He got hit by a car. They said it happened near Forest Hill Park. I nodded once. Yeah, I was there. She blinked. You, what? I was there. I saw it. Her voice cracked. Did you? No, I said. I didn't touch him. I didn't move. I didn't do anything. She covered her mouth and walked backward like I'd slapped her. Then she turned and walked away. I didn't follow. That night, I sat on the porch in the cold and stared up at the sky, wondering what kind of man just watches his wife's lover die in front of him and doesn't even flinch. I didn't have an answer. Still don't. The day Troy died, I didn't feel like a hero. I didn't feel like anything. I just felt still. That night, Rachel didn't come into the house. She stayed in the garage, door locked, lights off. I knew she was awake. I could feel it. The silence between us had weight, like fog that refused to clear. I didn't sleep. I sat on the edge of my bed, staring at the floor until the sun came up. The next morning, she sent a text. I need to talk. I replied, not now. It wasn't that I didn't want to talk. I just didn't know what I'd say. How do you even begin a conversation like that? Sorry, your affair partner is dead. I watched it happen. No, there's no script for that. The boys didn't know. Not about Troy. Not yet. I wasn't ready to explain that part. What could I even say? Your mom cheated, and the guy she cheated with just got hit by a car? Noah wouldn't understand. Ethan would ask if I did it. And honestly, I wasn't sure how I'd answer. Frank and I hadn't spoken since the accident. He didn't call. I didn't either. We were two men bound by something awful and unspoken. I had the sense he wouldn't tell anyone what he saw that day. And I wouldn't either. It felt like some cosmic punishment had already landed. No need to add more chaos. Rachel didn't go to work. She didn't take calls. For 2 days she stayed inside that garage, barely eating. Once I saw her through the window. She was curled up on the couch, clutching her phone like it could bring him back. I didn't feel sorry for her. But I didn't feel nothing either. I just watched. Cold. Detached. On the 3rd day, she knocked on the back door again. This time I opened it. She looked worse than before. Pale. Hollow eyes. Her voice was barely above a whisper. I didn't think it would end like this, she said. I leaned against the doorframe. What exactly did you think would happen? She shook her head. I don't know. I wasn't planning anything. I didn't go to Miami to meet him. I swear. Then how did it happen? She looked at me like she was searching for an answer inside herself. I saw him at the conference, she said. It started as small talk. He said I looked amazing. We got a drink. Then another. I didn't go back to my room that night. And the other nights? She looked down. All 3. I nodded. I already knew the answer, but hearing it still stung. Did you love him? Her mouth opened, then closed. I don't think so, she said finally. It wasn't about love. That made it worse, somehow. If it had been love, I could maybe explain it. But if it was just escape, then what was it about? I asked. I felt seen, she whispered. Wanted. For the first time in a long time. I didn't respond. I just stood there and let that sit. She looked up at me, her eyes red. Jack, I know I don't deserve anything from you. I know I broke everything. But I'm still the mother of your children. I'm still here. I'm trying. Trying what? I asked. To fix this? You can't fix this. I know, she said. But I need to at least try not to disappear. We stood there for a moment in silence. Then I stepped back and let her inside. Not into the bedroom. Not back into the marriage. Just into the kitchen. She sat at the table, hands wrapped around a cold cup of tea. She looked small, shrunk down by guilt and grief and maybe, finally, some real understanding of what she'd done. I didn't offer comfort. I didn't forgive her. But I didn't throw her out either. That night, when the boys came home, I told them only what they needed to know. Troy, the guy your mom was seen with, he passed away in an accident. Noah looked sad, even though he barely understood the situation. Ethan just asked, did she cry? I said yes. He nodded and said, good, then went back to his room. I couldn't argue with him. I didn't want to. The fallout wasn't over. Not even close. But the war had quieted for now. A week after Troy's death, I booked the therapy session. Not for Rachel. Not for the marriage. For me. I needed help keeping my head straight, and I needed to protect the boys from watching me unravel. The therapist's name was Dr. Karen West. She came recommended by a friend of mine whose marriage fell apart a few years ago. Office downtown. Quiet voice. No judgment. I told her everything in the first session. Laid it out like a crime scene. The live stream, the lies, the way Rachel looked at him, and how I watched him die and felt nothing. I expected some sort of reaction. Maybe concern. Maybe moral shock. She just nodded and said, "That's a trauma response. You didn't feel because you couldn't. Your system shut down." It made sense. Still felt wrong. By the third session, Rachel asked if she could come. I said yes. Not because I wanted reconciliation, I didn't. But I figured if she was going to be in our kids' lives, she needed to hear the full weight of what she did. In a room where she couldn't escape behind excuses. We sat across from each other on the couch. She looked thinner. Her face had a tiredness that sleep couldn't fix. Drive West opened the session gently. "Jack, Rachel. This space is neutral. No yelling. No blame. Just truth." Rachel nodded. I didn't say anything. Drive West turned to me. "Jack, would you like to begin?" I looked at Rachel. Not with hatred, just blunt honesty. "You broke something that will never heal. Not in the way you want. You didn't trip and fall into someone's arms. You walked into his hotel room 3 nights in a row. You knew what you were doing." She swallowed hard. "I did. You didn't just cheat," I continued. "You humiliated me. Publicly. You let the whole world see it before I even had a chance to process what was happening." Tears welled in her eyes. "I wasn't thinking about anyone but myself. That's the truth." "I believe that," I said. "Because you didn't think about Ethan or Noah. They saw the video. Their friends saw it. You didn't just destroy our marriage. You detonated the whole foundation of their childhood." That broke her. She covered her mouth and looked away. Her shoulders shook. Drive West handed her tissues, gave her time, but didn't interrupt. When she finally spoke again, her voice was barely there. "I didn't know the stream would be live. I didn't expect cameras. I was lost." I raised an eyebrow. "You weren't lost. You were chasing a thrill. You wanted to feel 20 again." She didn't deny it. Drive West stepped in. "Rachel, do you know why you sought that feeling outside your marriage?" Rachel sat for a long time, staring at her hands. Then said, "Because I didn't know how to ask for it inside of it. That pissed me off more than anything." "You never even tried," I said. "I was here, every day, with the boys, holding down the house while you climbed your career ladder. I celebrated you, Rachel. I never once made you feel small. You just checked out." She shook her head. "I know, and that's the part that hurts the most. You didn't deserve it. You never did." I didn't respond. There was nothing left to say in that moment. Drive West asked if we wanted to do more joint sessions. I said I'd come back, but only to manage co-parenting. We weren't rebuilding anything. We were figuring out how to not burn the rest of the house down. That night, Rachel slept in the garage again. No knock, no texts, just distance. I sat at the kitchen table long after midnight, scrolling through old photos on my phone. Vacations, holidays, birthday parties. Moments that felt real at the time. Now they felt like props in someone else's life. At one point, Ethan came downstairs for water. He saw me, looked at the screen, and asked, "Do you miss her?" I thought for a second, then said, "I miss who she used to be." He nodded like he understood that more than a kid his age should. Then he said, "Me too," and walked back upstairs. The papers came on a Monday. An envelope on the counter, left by the process server while I was out grabbing groceries. Rachel's name at the top. My name below it. A clean, cold layout of everything we had built, now ready to be split in half. I sat at the table for a long time, just staring at it. It didn't feel like revenge. It didn't feel like victory. It felt like admitting that this version of our life was over. When Rachel got back from picking up something at her parents' place, she saw the envelope. She didn't touch it. She just stood there, like she was waiting for me to explain what she already knew. "I'm filing," I said. She nodded. No argument. No begging. No shock. "Yeah," she whispered. "I figured." She sat down across from me. For a minute, neither of us said anything. Then she asked, "What are you going to tell the boys?" "I already told them we're separating. They know things aren't going back to how they were. They're not stupid." She looked away. "I'm sorry." "I know," I said. "But it doesn't fix anything." She didn't cry. I think she'd already cried everything out. Now it was just resignation. The part of grief that doesn't make a sound. We agreed to joint custody, but I would keep primary care. The boys needed stability. They were used to me being the one who cooked, helped with homework, handled routines. Rachel didn't fight it. Maybe because she knew it was true. Maybe because she couldn't. When the court date came, we sat on opposite ends of the room. Her lawyer spoke softly. Mine stuck to the facts. No drama. No shouting. Just the sound of a gavel and a few signatures. Afterward, we walked outside together, more out of habit than choice. The air was cool. The sky completely clear. "I don't hate you," I said. She turned her head. "I hate myself enough for both of us." I shook my head. "Don't do that. Don't spiral. Just be better. For them." She nodded. "I will." That night, she didn't come back to the garage. She stayed at her parents' place, and that's where she remained. She still came by to see the boys, every other weekend, sometimes on weeknights. But she never stayed too long. It became a pattern. She would show up, take them for ice cream or a movie, and bring them home a few hours later. She tried. I'll give her that. But Ethan never looked her in the eye anymore. And Noah, sweet as he was, kept his feelings close. He'd ask about her now and then, but mostly he watched. They were adjusting. Slowly. Quietly. One night, a few weeks after the divorce was final, I sat on the porch while the boys were upstairs watching a movie. Rachel's car pulled up out front, headlights cutting through the dusk. She got out, but didn't walk toward the house. I went down to meet her at the curb. "I don't want to mess up the routine," she said. "I just wanted to drop this off." She handed me a bag. Some school project Noah had forgotten at her place. "Thanks," I said. She lingered. "How are they?" "Getting there." "And you?" I gave a small shrug. "Also getting there." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "I miss them," she said. "I miss everything." "I know." She started to cry, but not loudly. Not a breakdown. Just a quiet, helpless kind of grief. "I wish I could go back," she said. "I bet you do." Then I turned and walked up the driveway. I didn't say it to be cruel. I said it because it was the only thing I had left. Honesty. There was no going back. Not for me. Not for her. Not for any of us. But at least now we could finally start moving forward. Life didn't magically get better after the divorce. There wasn't some moment where I stood in the sunshine, smiling into the wind, grateful that I was free. That's not how it works. That's not how heartbreak heals. It got quieter. That's what really happened. The house, once full of little arguments, quick kisses, footsteps rushing in every direction. It became still. I cooked dinner alone. I folded laundry while the boys did homework. I sat in the living room at night with a book open, pretending to read while my mind replayed everything I didn't want to think about. But the silence wasn't all bad. It gave me space. Time to rebuild not the life I used to have, but something new, something steadier. The boys adjusted. Slowly, in their own way. Noah started drawing more. He'd leave sketches around the house, cartoons, animals, superheroes. Sometimes he'd draw our family. Just me and the two of them. Rachel wasn't in those pictures anymore. Ethan took longer. He held onto his anger like armor. Didn't want to talk about it. Didn't want to hear her name. But he listened. He always listened, even when he acted like he didn't care. One night, months after everything, we sat in the backyard. The stars were out. He looked up and said, "You ever think you'll get married again?" I didn't answer right away. I don't know, I said finally. I thought I had one shot at it. And I gave it everything I had. He nodded. You did. She didn't. I didn't correct him. Rachel still showed up for visits. She never missed one, never made excuses. She brought snacks, helped with school projects, tried to stay involved. She was polite, careful, like someone trying to prove they still belonged in the world. But the boys never fully opened back up. Not the way it used to be. Some cracks don't close. Some lines, once crossed, stay visible no matter how many times you try to paint over them. I tried dating. A few times. Nothing serious. Coffee here. Dinner there. Nice people. But I wasn't ready to open my chest up again and hand someone the keys. Maybe someday. But I'm not rushing it. I learned how to enjoy my own company. I fixed things around the house. Picked up old hobbies. Got back into running, not to escape, but just to feel like my body belonged to me again. People always talk about closure like it's this big event. A letter, a conversation, a final scream in the rain. But sometimes closure is just making pancakes on a Sunday morning and realizing the pain doesn't control you anymore. Sometimes it's driving past the hotel she stayed in during that trip and not feeling sick to your stomach. Sometimes it's just watching your kids sleep and knowing they're okay. And so are you. I don't hate Rachel. I probably did for a while. But that's gone now. What I feel is distance. A gap that can't be crossed anymore. And honestly, that's okay. Not everyone who hurts you is a monster. Some are just weak at the wrong time in the worst way. She made her choice. I made mine. The day I finally packed away our wedding photos, I didn't cry. I thought I would, but I didn't. I just looked at them one last time, took a deep breath, and put them in a box. Not out of bitterness. Just because I was done. That part of my life is over. And the part I'm living now is mine.